It's time for a cup of coffee with Will and Chris at Slumberland Furniture. From Slumberland Furniture in Osage Beach, here are your hosts, William Holtz and Chris Schneider.
Welcome, everyone. I'm William Holtz with Lake TV, sitting alongside Uncle Chris Schneider. It is time for a cup of coffee with Will and Chris, which means we're at Slumberland here in Osage Beach. And Chris, I walk in the door, and first thing I find out is Phil tells me they've got the new massage chairs here on the floor.
Yeah.
Zero gravity. They got a couple go all the way back. You got the one you can sit in that's got the twisty turny knob. So I know what I'm doing before I leave Slumberland today. I'm trying out those new massage chairs.
You gonna get a massage?
Yeah, here in store.
Doggy.
Or there's furniture store you can go and get a massage. Love it. All right, so lots to talk about today. A little bit of a disappointing week for my Missouri Tigers. We'll talk about that, and we'll try to send their head coach packing where he belongs.
You're ready for him to be fired.
Oh, so ready, and then some.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. And then we look at the Blues. Of course, Uncle Chris will give you a weekly Blues recap. Good week for St. Louis. That and a whole lot more. But first, before we get started, we owe you this message from Slumberland.
Hey guys, Daryl Cunningham with Slumberland Furniture at the Lake. We're starting a new sale this week, Build Your Room and Save, where you get to take 20% off of every regularly priced item in the sale, and you get 60-month interest-free financing. So that's a whole room of furniture for like $20, $30 a month. It's hard to beat. Come check out all these great savings here at Slumberland Furniture at the Lake, and remember, it's always a good life.
All right, now Chris and I's favorite part of the show each week, time to talk sports, of course, local and national, and we're going to start with my Missouri Tigers. Of course, last week we didn't have the show recorded in time, or I guess we did have it recorded too early because we didn't know what happened Tuesday against Ole Miss. Missouri loses.
Yeah, they lose against a team they should have beaten again.
At home.
And then you went ballistic after the game.
Oh, I had it.
Unbelievable.
It was a game we should have won. We were in position to win, and then just like Missouri has done so many times since I've been a fan of Missouri basketball, especially under Coach Martin, just squander an opportunity and lose embarrassingly at home to an Ole Miss team they shouldn't have. Now, luckily for them, Saturday's game was canceled with A&M, and probably a blessing in disguise because something tells me they lose that one as well.
Yeah.
2 games left on the regular season slate. They've got Florida, and then, of course, they'll close out on Saturday with another good team, LSU. So 2 teams as we look at the SEC standings. Florida, third behind Arkansas and Alabama, and LSU right there behind Florida at 9-6. 2 tough teams Missouri's going to get. Currently, Missouri 7-7 in conference, 14-7 overall, and they have that 24 seed. But I don't even feel like we deserve to be ranked in the top 25.
No, I don't either. I mean, just way too inconsistent up and down. They have beaten some good teams, but they can't beat the bad teams. So, I mean, go figure that out. Last week we talked about how far they could go in the big dance. I say maybe 1 win and done. And you said you thought they were going to go further. You still think they're going to go further?
Well, yeah, and it's going to be no credit will go to head coach Kunzo Martin, because if they do make a run, it's just going to be because the kids on the floor step up and play. I know they're capable of that, but it's just been so disappointing. And I look at Kunzo Martin and how he even got this job, of course. 3 years at Missouri State, nothing, as last year he did win the Missouri Valley Conference. They went 26-7. However, didn't even make the NCAA tournament. They went to the NIT, and they got knocked out in the second round of the NIT after winning the Missouri Valley Conference. Coach Martin took home the Missouri Valley Conference Coach of the Year that year, and that was really where he peaked. From there he goes to Tennessee, spends 3 years, a lot more underachieving in Tennessee, does get them to an NCAA tournament, and they did make a run in 2014, 2015. They went all the way to the Sweet 16, got a couple of wins they shouldn't, but that's all he's done since then.
He wins just enough to make himself look good, get another job, or stay at a good job, and then he sucks again for a few more years until he needs to win.
The only thing the guys won is the CIT championship his second year in Missouri at Missouri State. That's not even as good as getting to the NIT, which stands for not in tournament. And then the CIT is if you're really, really low on the totem pole. And they're calling guys like you and I and say, hey, Will and Chris, can you fill the team and make the CIT? So that's the tournament Coach Martin's won.
When do we get the big dance? When can we fill out the brackets?
That'll be on next week's show.
I'm looking forward to beating you in the brackets this year. You're like the best picker ever.
Yeah, I pick here, pick here, pick.
Nah.
No, I did cream you in football pickup. Something tells me
Killed me.
that's not going to be the trend in college
I don't know.
basketball. That's pretty unpredictable. But to round out Kunzo Martin, and since he's been at Missouri, his first year there, NCAA tournament, one and done, and he makes a habit of that. He's gotten past the first round of the NCAA tournament just one time in 6 trips in his life. Of course, that Sweet 16 run back 2013, 2014. And he's got 3 years left on his contract in Columbia, and they're talking around the University of Missouri and in Columbia that this guy's due for an extension because of the fact they were picked 11th. And sometimes the media do you a favor because they got picked in preseason to finish 11th. Really, so the only where to go from there was up. So anything over basically a winless season in the SEC was going to get Kunzo Martin a pat on the back and, okay, you exceeded expectations. I blame the media for that because this team should be doing a lot better than 14-7. Florida and LSU left. We'll see how that goes. Now time for St. Louis Blues, a local team to get excited about. They've continued to stay relevant, and after last week's show, 3 more games, and the Blues bode pretty well.
Yeah, 8-2, 24 points, just like last week, still sitting near the top of the Western Conference. It's a little bit deceiving because they've played more games. They've played either 3 or 4 more games than the other top teams.
Right.
The other top teams around them, Vegas just in front of them, Minnesota and Colorado just behind them. And all those teams have played either 3 or 4 less games.
And they're in such a good division.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Some great teams. So coming up this week, they've got Kings, Sharks, all out of town. It's going to be tough. Out-of-town games.
So weird the way this schedule is going because they just had the Kings Saturday, won 2-1, or lost 2-1 in that game. But they had won 2 in a row prior to that, of course, beating the Wild and the Sharks. So Blues are sitting pretty, and you look at that conference, man. That's the only thing that worries me for St. Louis. They're deep. They've got really, really good scores. They're playing pretty well defensively. They're physical. I caught a couple highlight reels over the weekend. Man, they hit really well. They check hard. They take people off their line. And I like them, but I think that division is tough.
And whoever catches fire in the playoffs, like the Blues did a couple years ago when they won the Stanley Cup, whoever catches fire, they're going to be the team to beat. Remember last week we talked about that quote, you have to learn how to lose together before you can win together. And then I tried to come up with a great classic quote, and I butchered it. It was terrible. So I brought it today. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay. This was the quote I was trying to say last week from Yogi Berra, of course, the Hall of Fame catcher. 90% of this game is half mental. 90%. Where's the math on that, right?
Okay, so it is logical.
Yeah, there you go.
Because the other 10% might be all mental, whereas 90% of the game, half mental, half physical. But there's only 90% that falls into that 50-50 breakdown.
Wow.
It does make sense.
I've never heard anybody who said that made sense.
And Yogi, how you going to argue with Yogi Berra?
You want to hear some other dumb quotes?
I do. Well, don't quote me.
Terry Bradshaw says, I may be dumb, but I'm not stupid. Right? How about that?
He's great. I might be dumb, but I'm not stupid. That is Terry Bradshaw.
Gordie Howe, the great hockey player, he says, all hockey players are bilingual. They know English and profanity.
That's good, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Chuck Nevitt, a former NBA center, said, my sister's expecting a baby. I don't know if I'm going to be an uncle or an aunt.
In 2021, that doesn't surprise me.
I mean,
he can decide. You can decide when the baby
gets here.
Well, that's true.
I hadn't thought about that. Today. I'm feeling like an uncle or an aunt today. But the best one is from Bobby Knight. You ready for Bobby Knight?
Yeah.
Okay. He says, if the NBA, he was a college basketball coach. Didn't like the NBA, just like you and we hate the NBA, right? So Bobby Knight said, if the NBA were on Channel 5 and a bunch of frogs making love was on Channel 4, I'd watch the frogs even if they were coming in fuzzy.
That's so good.
It's classic.
And that's great timing because last week was the anniversary of the infamous chair throw by Bobby Knight. And, man, he was one of the greatest. And I know that he had a fuse, and he's known for getting angry. But, man, what a good guy Bobby Knight really is.
Yeah, he really was. I mean, he was a lot like Trump. I mean, people hate Trump because he says a lot of weird, crazy things and Twitters and stuff. But underneath it all, great guy, apparently, for those that know him.
Right.
Same kind of thing with Bobby Knight.
Yeah,
apparently.
for sure. Yeah, Bobby Knight, the man. And how funny is that? I mean, you get so mad. You wouldn't get away with that today like you did.
You know how old
then.
I am? I watched that live when he did that. And that was like in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I was watching
like
that game when he did that.
It's not that long
That's
ago.
how old Uncle Chris is.
Uncle Chris, my goodness.
Hey.
I always want to ask, how did you get that name, Uncle Chris? Do you even have any nieces or nephews?
I think it's just the wisdom that I have, that I bring to the table.
Yeah.
People quote me, that's what Uncle Chris said.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is.
Okay,
well,
I like
yeah, you look like Fabio, but when you're smart, you get the Uncle Chris.
Okay, so Uncle Fabio Chris.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I love it. All right, so our next topic, NFL free agency. We told you guys last week about some of the quarterback shuffling going on, some big time names changing teams, but J.J. Watt was still a free agent, and that's changed this week as Watt signs a 2-year deal with Arizona worth $31 million, $23 million of that guaranteed, and with the current state of the NFL and the salary cap being decreased, that's a big number for a guy who hasn't played but one season over the last 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, that guy's always getting hurt. He's a great player when he's healthy,
Yeah.
but he's always been hurt the last few years. Boy, that is a big number. But if he can stay healthy, it might just put Arizona over the top, to really make a Super Bowl run maybe.
Yeah, I love Kyler Murray, but it's just weird for me because the way that the NFL programs or franchises look at positional talent, because a guy like Stephon Diggs, who was, I think, no questions asked, the most efficient receiver in the league last year for the Bills, led the NFL in catches, led the NFL in yards, and he only is getting $9 million a year.
Yeah.
So you look at him compared to J.J. Watt, who finished last year with 4.5 sacks, which tied him for like 111th in the NFL on the season, and he's going to get that much money at that age. It's just weird, but I do know you want to anchor the line. Good luck to J.J. Watt, great guy. Good luck to the Arizona Cardinals. If you guys get to the Super Bowl, you already know you're playing the Bills, and you're not getting past them. Our last sports topic of the week, baseball season is officially here as spring games kicked off this week, Chris, and exciting to see baseball back. And for both of the local teams, St. Louis and Kansas City, a lot to be optimistic about. Of course, the Royals just extended Hunter Dozier for 4 years. St. Louis has the big pickup of Arenado in the offseason. Do you expect either the Cardinals or the Royals to be competitive in their division this year?
I expect the Cardinals to be competitive. They usually are. They've just got that, the great, solid franchise that they're tough year after year. I do expect them to be there. I think maybe that big free agency pickup is going to help them. They really needed something like that. They got it. They've got good young pitching.
Yeah.
If it stays healthy, that's always a question mark. So I do think the Cardinals. Now, I think the Royals, they've had such good young talent coming up. They should be better too. I don't know if they're good enough yet to compete. They should be able to start competing next couple years. They got a new manager in there. The guy that used to be manager with St. Louis for several years, Matheny, who's a great guy apparently. So I expect the Royals actually to be better this year. I don't know if they'll challenge for a playoff spot, but I think they won't just be an easy win.
Yeah, Matheny's a guy that Andrew and I got to give a hard time to down in Florida at the baseball winter meetings the year before Matheny got fired in St. Louis, and we saw him down there, and I asked him, Cardinals had missed the playoffs 2 years in a row. Cardinal Nation's spoiled.
Yeah.
They're not used to not being in the postseason. I asked him, and this question was in the St. Louis Dispatch. I was super happy about that because most people that know Mike Matheny wouldn't ask him the hard question. Being a Cub fan, I said, do you feel like you're on the hot seat after you haven't made the playoffs in 2 years, going into this year? Cubs really own the division right now. Do you feel the heat from St. Louis? And he goes, well, it's always my expectation to make the playoffs, and I get the standard we have. But I remember hammering that poor guy, and he was super nice about it. And, yeah, for the Royals, they got to love him. But I think the Central, when you look at the Cardinals, I think the Central is going to be down. I think that division is wide open.
Yeah.
I don't think any team stands out to me. And I think, honestly, if there is one team, it probably is St. Louis.
Might be the Cardinals.
That
Cubs
looks the deepest.
I don't know. Cubs are always pretty
We have
good,
no
though.
pitching. We have absolutely no pitching. We got rid of Lester. We traded away Darvish. We let Quintana walk. So our best pitcher right now is Kyle Hendricks, followed by Jake Arrieta, who re-signed with the Cubs, Alec Mills, and then there's an old reliever who's like in his 40s or 30s that is supposed to. But
Well,
we're
that's
going to
good.
struggle. We're going to
I
struggle.
don't like the Cubs, so I hope they stink.
And it's just in. The Cubs can't stand Uncle Chris. So, and the Cubs just told me they're not surprised a bit. He was watching the Bobby Knight share incident. They said, "What was that? Your 40th birthday?"
Who is that
and
guy?
The Cubs don't like you
Who's that
either.
old guy, man?
It's good stuff. All right,
Good
so
that baseball's about ready to be back. That's great.
that is good, and it means we will be talking Cardinals, Royals, and Cubs baseball almost every week week here on A Cup of Coffee with Will and Chris. And Chris, man, we ate up almost half the show talking sports.
Did you see they've got a new spring training rule, a mercy inning rule, where if a pitcher throws more than 20 pitches that inning, the manager can come out and say, mercy rule, let's just end this inning. That happened this week for the Red Sox.
We have officially renamed the MLB the Biden Baseball Association.
Exactly.
I knew you were going to say it.
Hey,
I knew you were going to say it.
What the participation award, man? How stupid is that?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'd give up. My pitcher's throwing 20 pitches.
Yeah.
I'm done.
And the NIT tournament that you talked about earlier, they're paring it down to just 16 teams this year. They're going to play all the games in the DFW area. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, this is.
Of course, they're playing the NCAA tournament in Indianapolis.
Well, that's another participation trophy. So you're not good enough to get in the pool of 66.
Yeah.
Obviously, turns to 64, but the two teams with the play-in. If you don't make that, guess what? We've got two other options for you. The NIT not in tournament and the CIT, which you and I will be playing in, and probably going to see Missouri in the CIT.
Right.
We'll be in the NCAA, not to go back to Mizzou. But all right, time for Lake headlines, Chris, and you brought up a really cool one. Lake Area Church opens doors to the homeless with the cold.
Great story. You know, we went through that real cold snap, right? That was some. Have you ever seen anything quite that cold, like that long?
Not
before?
for that extended period of time down here.
That
and
was
I think
crazy.
No one was really prepared or ready, and we saw, so many people didn't really know what to do, or things weren't keeping up. So it was a disastrous couple of weeks, but there were many people hurting, and it seems like there's a local church doing something about it.
Yeah, a local church, they wanted to share God's love, by doing something, not just talking about it. So Tree 197 Church in Camdenton, I'd never heard of them before, opened their doors, allowed homeless people into the church from 9 until 6 in the morning, also supplied bedding, food, warm coats, of course, trying to get these people in out of those sub-zero temperatures.
Yeah.
And obviously, that's a great thing. Now, they're also, this Tree 197 Ministries, building Front Porch Village. Have you heard of that? Community of small houses, 650 to 1,000-foot homes that they're building in Camdenton to get people off the street, give them a place to live, get back on their feet. Some pretty cool stuff there, man. So our kudos to Tree 197 Church.
That's so cool, too, because I always say, the people that churches want to be reaching aren't the ones that are beating down the doors to get into service, right? Most people that are in your congregation, in your service, know what's available to them. They just struggle with themselves like many of us believers do. However, it's the ones that you can't reach that if you'll become like, you'll reach. And so to see a church that says, hey, we have really nothing to gain, we're going to open our doors, that's biblical.
That's neat.
I mean, we'd love to see more churches, because it's unreal how many churches and ministries and facilities are everywhere, but especially right down here at our own Lake of the Ozarks. Imagine if every church opened their doors.
That'd be great, wouldn't it?
We wouldn't have any homeless problems.
Yeah, and apparently Lake Area Helping Hands Homeless Shelter is the only homeless shelter at the Lake of the Ozarks right now, and it's full almost all the time.
And I'll tell you this, an amazing organization operates on a very minute budget every month, and so that's something that we'll have some things about and try to help get some funds for, because I'll tell you that homeless shelter Helping Hands, they need some help, and I'm telling you right now, with the weather and with everything following COVID and as we move forward, I mean, a lot of people down and out, and they're going to need some help, I guarantee you that.
Well, and I mean, we need to have them on the Lake TV Community Spotlight Show, help them out a little bit too, because that's a huge benefit to the community.
Raise hundreds of thousands of dollars every year for animals, the Dogwood Animal Shelter.
Yeah.
God love the Dogwood Animal Shelter. You know me, no one loves dogs more than me. But it seems a little backwards when you got someone like the Helping Hands Homeless Shelter in your community that has people that need to get in there. You need to raise more funds for that organization.
Yeah.
We're gonna do something about that. Another local headline I thought was cool. You said over the traffic. Not really cool, but kind of interesting to see why maybe.
Yeah.
But it looks like in 2020, more people dying on the road than years previously.
Well, which is kind of weird because there were supposedly less people on the road, right? Because of COVID and all that stuff. But the numbers were up. Let's see, highest number of traffic fatalities in Missouri since 2007. Wow. So, I mean, that's 13, 14 years. Yeah. MoDOT says 2020 indicates Missouri traffic fatalities increased by 12%. And according to the State Highway Patrol, 989 people died in Missouri traffic crashes, up from 881. So quite a bit. And Nearly 67% of the passengers, drivers killed in car crashes were unbuckled. So, as a message from your Uncle Chris, buckle up, man. You know, I mean,
no doubt.
What does it take? A half second to buckle up. And also 389 people were killed going too fast, and 126 people killed, pedestrians that were hit, which was more than ever in Missouri. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, some crazy.
Weird too, because like you said, you would think there's less people on the road with the travel bans and people being scared and staying at home, but man, that's the way the numbers shake out.
That's pretty weird. Yeah. You think we're done with the snow for the year?
Yeah, I'm going to say that and
Hopefully.
knock on wood just to make sure I don't jinx it. But moving into March, I certainly hope so, man. I can't take any more.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure Unique and Baby Girl can't take any more snow days and me locked in the house with them.
Probably.
You know?
Hey. But here's a little note from your Uncle Chris. Don't be passing any snow plows if it does snow again.
Oh,
right?
yeah, that's never a good idea.
No.
And I think someone locally may have found that out the hard way.
They tried that out. Yeah, we had a big crash back in the middle of the snow-mageddon that we had here. A truck driver apparently tried to pass a snowplow, and that didn't end well. So don't do that. And this snowplow not only had a plow in the front, but apparently some of those are pulling a plow behind. I didn't know that. You know, and there's, you know, how it throws up all the snow and everything. You can't see what's going on. So semi-snowplow crash, not good. Don't do it. Just leave it alone. Stay behind the snowplow. Let them do their thing.
Yeah, I saw some crazy videos. I'm sure a lot of you guys saw those too, of on main highways that were frozen over. And once you get a pile up and no one can stop, man, semis just coming in there with their brakes slammed on, just sliding into traffic that's parked or stopped and people inside. I mean, it was scary to look at.
There was that big one in DFW. Did you see that?
Yeah.
On one of those ramps where there were like 300 semis all smashed together and
nuts.
6 people killed or something like that.
Just
it is
nuts.
Yeah.
That's frightening too. Can you imagine being stopped and just seeing cars come at you? You can't really get out. You're surrounded. You're blocked in. Just frightening. And so you mentioned that the numbers on the road as far as fatalities are up, but new highs and new lows as far as temperatures in Missouri here recently as well, correct?
Unbelievable. Okay, so there's one city in the state of Missouri that holds the record for the lowest ever temperature and the highest ever temperature recorded in the state of Missouri. Any idea what town that would be?
I'm going to say that is Fayetteville.
Fayetteville. Okay, now it's Warsaw. Warsaw holds the record. February 13th, 1905, temperature plummeted to 40 below zero.
Wow.
40 below zero in Warsaw.
Wow.
Right? And then 49 and a half years later, in the summer of 1954, they got up to 118 degrees. So they hold the record at 40 below for the lowest and at 118 for the highest record temperatures in Missouri.
What's in the water down there, man?
I don't know. That's pretty crazy, right?
What do you guys think of that down there in Warsaw, watching on Lake TV? Because we're in Warsaw.
Yeah. Hey,
So,
Warsaw.
Hey, you Wildcat fans, tuning in to a cup of coffee with Will and Chris.
We met the mayor of Warsaw
Yep.
recently at an event here at the lake. He's a good guy.
Yeah,
Real good guy.
It was cool getting to talk to him, and we both knew about Buck Naked, which is a place down there off the water. Some of the, not what you'd think. Don't get this guy started. He'll start talking about Bewitched if we're not careful. So, but some of the best wings. Every year we do the Freedom Run, Dam to Dam Run. We go from Surdike Port 20 all the way to Warsaw to the dam and then back, and we always stop at Buck Naked. It's a bar on the water down there, and they have some of the best hot wings, Chris.
That sounds good.
Yeah, we love our
I'd go for some right
hot
now,
wings.
man.
Another reminder, we told you guys over the last couple of weeks, but Saturday is the 2021 annual Eagle Days. They've made some changes. Just a one-day event, and to tell you more, we're actually going to show you this year's event promo.
Grab the family and get ready for Lake of the Ozarks Eagle Days 2021, presented by Ameren, Missouri. It's Eagle Days on Saturday, March 6th at Lake of the Ozarks. Enjoy incredible hourly live eagle and owl presentations from Dickerson Park Zoo and World Bird Sanctuaries. For this year's updated event information, visit lakeoftheozarkseagledays.com. It's the annual Lake of the Ozarks Eagle Days, presented by Ameren, Missouri on Saturday, March 6th.
Awesome. So we hope to see you guys out at Eagle Days this Saturday. And with the weather being as crazy as it has been, I actually kind of anticipate there will be a lot of soaring eagles out to see.
Man, and you know, is there anything more cool than seeing an eagle out there flying or an owl. Or
Yeah.
I mean, those to me, those things are so cool. They're just.
And you can
greatness.
see now, like one of the things really popular are like the nest cams. You know, where you'll get to see them had the eggs and all of that
Yeah.
and protect the eggs. Well, I saw a cool video of in the snow a nest that had one of the cams and it was covered in snow, and so the two eagles were taking turns sitting on and keeping the eggs warm while the other would go get food, and they'd alternate. It was pretty cool to see how these animals and these creatures kind of live and raise their young and protect it. So
and they're a lot
instinctual.
bigger than you think.
Oh,
I
man.
mean, you know, when they're sitting there, I mean, those eagles get huge.
And you could see Saturday, the Wild Bird Sanctuary will be at Eagle Days, and they always have on display eagles they have rescued that are maybe being rehabilitated with clipped wings or whatever it would be, and you'll get to see, I mean, and you're not kidding, Chris, I mean, their wingspan, they're massive.
Yeah.
There's a reason they're our national bird.
Yep.
You know, it's pretty
really cool.
fantastic.
You know, Benjamin Franklin wanted to make the turkey the national bird. True story. That would have been an interesting national
Come
bird,
up with
right?
ideas like that, get on the $100 bill.
There you go.
If that were the case, I'd be on every denomination of American currency, because I got a lot of ideas that are way stupider than that right there, or more stupid, as you just heard. Is stupider a word?
Stupider is a word. We just made it a word.
Oh,
So
we do that a lot. All right, so a headline did want to talk about, man, it just seems like this poor guy just can't stay out of the limelight. Tiger Woods, his vehicle rolls over last week, and appears like after surgery he's going to be okay. And it was cool. If you saw in the tournament this weekend, a lot of the young guys who grew up idolizing and probably are playing golf because of Tiger Woods' influence, they wore the black and red with the Nike and kind of paid homage to him. And he came out and said, you know, you have no idea how much that actually means to me right now, and that's helped me get through. But man, I know he's an easy target, but I sure feel for Tiger Woods.
Yeah, you know, I mean, how serious were those injuries? He had like lower body injuries, but I never really heard how serious it was. Is he going to be able to walk again or play again?
I believe he'll be able to walk. They haven't really said he will or won't play again. I think they're afraid to say that.
I hadn't heard anything
you don't want to
either.
be premature, but I know that there was like a contusion in his leg. There was numerous fractures, and there was reconstructive surgery on one of his legs. So it's serious enough that he will definitely be recovering for a while. So our thoughts go out to Tiger, and it is good, I wanted to say, because everyone kind of assumes that at this point in time, no alcohol or substance that they can say was related. That's the first thing everybody says.
Yep.
And I was talking to Tiger about was like, oh, I wonder how drunk he was, or I wonder, you know, what he was doing. And it was like, well, there was nothing that they can prove right now. So I'm really glad to hear that. So hopefully some people can give Tiger a break.
Absolutely.
Speaking of break, Will needs a break from Dogecoin because it just is playing with my emotions over the last couple of weeks. At 3 o'clock in the morning, it'll tank. I'll get excited. I'll go to buy some more. Then it'll tank some more. Very unpredictable right now. As we stand coming into today's show, it was at 5.051 cents. So it was about 5.1 cents per share. It got as high as 5.8 cents. And it was down to 4.5 cents. Would have been the time to dump more into it. But listen, guys, now looks like ATMs are going to start dealing in Dogecoin over the next few months. Elon Musk announced this week. So now's the time. Double down, jump in Dogecoin. Go all in, right, Chris?
Not even.
Chris says no, Will says yes. And in a year, you'll all be thanking me for this advice as we're all sipping on sangaritas on the beach wherever, right?
Well, if you're paying.
So that is your weekly Dogecoin update. You had a trivia question before we go.
I do, yeah. You ready for a trivia question?
I always love a little trivia.
Who painted the Mona Lisa?
Oh.
That would be Da Vinci.
Oh, that duh.
And here's another one. Who painted the Sistine Chapel?
Mary Magdalene.
That was Michelangelo.
It was an M. I was close.
Yeah, absolutely.
Michelangelo.
Starts with an M.
Art is definitely not Wild Will's expertise. That's Uncle Chris giving us today's trivia. Guys, that's going to wrap up this week's edition of A Cup of Coffee with Will and Chris from right here at Slumberland Furniture. This week, come by and check out the new massage chairs.
Oh, yeah.
I'll keep them warm for you. I promise you that. For Chris, I'm William Holtz for our whole crew and the team at Slumberland. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.